These days, you can't go a day without seeing advertisements and media littered with colorful-haired performers singing songs half in English and half in Korean. K-pop has taken the world by storm. Arenas are filled with fans arguing over which group member is their favorite while screaming words to a song in a language they don't understand. And while this billion-dollar template seems to be a recent phenomena, in the Western world at least, it actually has its start in the US all the way back in 1950.
Everybody loves kimchi, everybody loves kimchi. We even try, try and find the boy with the love kimchi.
Hey Gavin,
What's up, Mason?
how you doing?
Doing good, as always. How you doing?
I've been better.
Been
You know?
better? Yeah, I get that.
But you know, I got a banger for you today.
Okay, I'm ready.
You know K-pop?
A little bit. I'm not too familiar, but
Well, it's kind of a recent thing, people
Yeah.
assume, in the US, and people kind of credit BTS with being, you know, the kind of driving powerhouse, you know, thrusting K-pop kind of into the mainstream back in, you know, 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
You know, they were in the AMAs, they got a bunch of songs on the Billboard charts and stuff like that. But did you know that there was a K-pop group that charted number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles list back in 1950?
how? How?
It's pretty crazy. So during the rule of colonial Japan in Korea, there was this media collective called KPK. You know, this was back in
KPK.
30s and 40s, and they traveled around performing everything from folk music, jazz, you know, stand-up,
Wow.
even dance. And so one of those founding members was Kim Hae-sung. He was a very talented jazz singer, kind of legendary performer, and he was married to Lee Nan-young, another wildly famous singer, and they kind of created this power couple, power family in Korean entertainment. Unfortunately, Kim Hae-sung got kidnapped and taken to North Korea because
What?
the Korean leaders liked him so much. They wanted him to perform over there.
What?
And so Lee Nan-young was left with their 7 kids all
Oh my
alone.
God.
And so she turned to what she knows best, which is, you know, managing performers. So
Oh.
she turned her kids into 2 ensemble groups.
What?
One called the Kim Brothers, one called the Kim Sisters.
Oh my God.
You know, and from a very early age, like, you know,
Yeah.
Jackson 5 style, they started singing when they were
No.
6 and 8, and they did the same thing, you know, traveled around, were widely popular for all the Japanese troops. And then when the American troops came in, you know, this Korean War, 1950, 1953, you know, same thing. The KPK, they would travel around to all the camps and perform for these American GIs. And in particular, the Kim sisters were really, really popular. They all sang covers of like classic Americana songs,
Right.
even though they didn't speak English.
Which is crazy.
It's
Which is
crazy.
crazy.
They memorized all the songs phonetically.
That is,
It's
that's
just insane.
Especially at the time, too.
Oh, exactly. But so they were insanely popular. You know, troops would like trade info about which performers were performing at which camps, and
Wow.
people would drive for like, you know, halfway across the country just to go to this camp where the Kim sisters were performing.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That is actually really crazy.
During their time there, like I said, wildly popular. And one of the officers was a former like Vegas promoter. His name was Bob McMacken, and he ran entertainment for the Thunderbird Hotel in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And so he helped them secure visas. They actually came
What?
over as like cultural ambassadors. You know, they were seen as a token of like goodwill from Korea to the US to like bolster Cold War relations. It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
You have to think they're really young at this
Yeah,
time.
they're the actual
really,
children.
really young. So they get to the US, still like, you know, not a lot of English. They know nothing. And they start performing at the Thunderbird Hotel. They had this showcase called the Asian Doll Review.
Oh, boy.
Sounds a little sus.
Yeah, it does sound really weird, especially knowing
And, you
how
know,
old they are.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, all throughout their time, they faced a ton of, you know, cultural struggles and discrimination. You know,
Yeah.
at the time, Asians were kind of seen as this exotic, foreign. It was all very weird.
Cannot imagine.
And, weirder is that Ed Sullivan, late night powerhouse of the time, he saw clips of them and was immediately smitten. Immediately.
Interesting.
He just absolutely loved them. So he, begged and pleaded with his producers to get these girls on his show. They weren't like super crazy popular at the time, but he's like, I want them on my show.
Wow. Okay.
So 3 years later, 3 years after they started performing in Vegas, they debuted on the Ed Sullivan Show, singing covers of classic American songs.
Did they have like any records out, or were they just? Oh, so they just were on the show.
No, they didn't. They didn't release their first album until 1964.
Dang. Okay, so they were like around for a while.
Yeah, they were just kind of a traveling.
Wow. It's a different era. It's just a different era of entertainment. Does not happen anymore.
They eventually went on to perform 22 times on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh my God.
It was like I said, Ed Sullivan loved these girls.
They would just like have like their own like segment.
Basically,
that's crazy.
He would bring them on for multiple songs, days in a row, and they ended up signing a contract with the show to be like their recurring musical guest for like it was over a 3-year period.
What?
It was wild. But anyways, they performed on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they ended up releasing one of their covers as a single. It was Charlie Brown, a cover of Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown, he's gonna get cold. The way to see, why is everybody always picking on me?
It peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1959. It was crazy. They also had a spot at number 15 for a song called Kimchi, some Korean word. And the significance of that song is half of it's in Korean.
That's awesome.
The Charlie Brown song that I talked about, it was all in English.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense that it charted so well.
Right, but a song in
at
half
the time.
Korean.
Exactly.
Charting
half
in
Korean,
the 50s.
foreign music, charting in the top 20.
That's actually really
in
insane.
the 60s. They are definitely, they were ahead of the curve.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the kind of K-pop formula. It's they all have matching outfits and themes and the same hair, and they do choreographed dance. And the Kim sisters, they did all that. They were kind of the starters of
like boy bands, honestly.
Yeah, what makes
just like in general.
What makes that kind of group successful.
Yeah.
If you watch any of their Ed Sullivan performances, they all have matching outfits. They're all with one color scheme. They have like one girl in the middle with like the two backup like dancers on the side, and they rotate. They do the full shebang. You would, if the quality was better and it was less, culturally iffy, you wouldn't imagine it's from the 50s.
Wow.
They were really, really ahead of their time. Later, by 1970, they actually got citizenship.
Nice.
And they helped the Kim brothers immigrate to Korea. There's no record of them performing or making it big or anything like that. They weren't quite the icons, but family all got together in the 70s.
Wow.
The mom had passed away at that point, but a bunch more of their relatives came over. And they kind of, at that point, they, had a lot of money and they didn't have to perform so much and kind of just, lived out the life.
Are they still alive?
2 of them are.
Oh, okay.
One of them actually still performs in Vegas.
What?
Sue. Yeah, she performs at jazz clubs. And then Mia lives in Hungary with her husband and also performs.
That's
and then
crazy.
The last one, Ija, unfortunately died in 1980 of lung cancer. But two of them are still they still perform in jazz clubs, still kicking it. And they're very well known in Korea still.
Well,
they're kind of seen as
so.
the godfathers of K-pop for a lot of people, and really kind of these cultural icons for a generation.
Mad respect.
Flowers
for all the sisters, all three of the Kim sisters. They get their flowers from Wazzy Record Room. We know the truth.
Go listen to their songs.
Yes.
Wait, which camera am I looking at?
I think we look at this one.
Go listen to their songs.
Yes.
They only got like 64 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Criminal.
It is absolutely criminal.
64.
Yeah, and they only have one album plus like some singles, like the Charlie Brown number 7 chart song. but their songs are great. Their songs are really great.
I'm gonna go listen. I'm gonna go listen to them.
Like I said,
Post the numbers.
they've been training since they were 4 years old
Right.
to sing and dance and perform, and you can tell, they have such energy, and their
Mhm.
voices are great. And
That's awesome.
I don't know if they write their own songs, but they're great. Definitely a good listen.
Yes, we love the Kim sisters.
Love the Kim sisters. All right, I think that's it.
Thank you, Mason.
You're welcome.
I
enjoyed writing the script.
To remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember